Hey folks, this is Jason Lewis, the producer of the From the Shadows podcast. I just want to remind you about our website, FromTheShadowsPodcast.com. We have a Facebook page. We would appreciate it if you like and follow. Also, join our discussion group on Facebook called After the Shadows. We have a Twitter feed. Please follow us on Twitter. It can be found with @podcast_from. Follow us on Instagram at From the Shadows Podcast. We have a YouTube channel. Go to the search bar at YouTube and put From the Shadows Podcast, and please subscribe to that channel. We are also on the Odyssey Radio Network, and we can be found there at odyssey1.com. We're still on the traditional podcatchers that everybody loves to listen to us on. We get a lot of feedback, so please rate the podcast and communicate with whether you're on Spotify, Stitcher, TuneIn, Apple Podcasts, Podbean, or Google Podcasts. We're there, and we appreciate it when you leave comments for us. We also have a Patreon page. It can be found at www.patreon.com/FromTheShadows. You can receive books, stickers, coffee mugs, and special content just for our Patreon subscribers. Check it out for yourself and see what packages that we have to offer. Well, that's all I have for you right now, folks, and thanks for being a part of the From the Shadows podcast family. So with that being said, let's get this episode started.
So
yeah,
we're going. We recording.
We're on.
Well, you know, we'll pull the curtain behind the curtain. You know, we recorded a really funny super howler a couple days ago to come out for this episode, and technology's a beautiful thing. It stopped recording after 7.5 minutes. So here we are, second try at our howler for this week. And we're going to talk about getting old. Is that what we're talking about?
You said get old, but I think when we were just, let's just talk about getting old, because we've got an expiration date, right? A good friend of mine's dad died this week, and it just happens. You look down one day and you go, where'd all the time go, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's sadly this morning a young man in our community died in a car accident, and on his way to work, and he's from a family who, gosh, how long has it been ago? Not quite 30 years ago. Has it been? Man, it's been a while. It's been at least not quite 20 years ago, maybe. No, not quite 30, 25. I don't know. It's been a long time. Anyway, his older brother, I coached in junior high, and then I was going to coach him his senior year in football after I had got done playing college football, and he died. He drowned in a pond on the family property, and his uncle drowned trying to save him. And here, all these years later, it happens again to the same family. They lose another son. So you're right. We all got an expiration date, whether we, get sick or it's a tragic accident.
Yeah. Well, you bring up the drowning. I'm down here at the lake. We've had 3 people, Lake Ozark. We've had 3 people drown the last 7 days, I think. Now, this is what I think is odd. 2, if not, I think 2 were over 60 and 1 was over 50. And, I was reading a thing about I think he was 67 or 69. He did a backflip they had some palatial docks where the roof would be a roof on a dock is like a sun deck, right? So
yeah.
He was doing a backflip off a second tier dock. So, I
kind of like Rodney Dangerfield and
I don't know, but I'm just saying, at 67 years old, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. Say he was the 67, not the 69-year-old. At 67, might not have quit backflipping off his 2-story dock into the lake. But, I get made fun of a lot because I don't get in the water without a life jacket, and I can swim. And I make all my kids wear a life jacket and they can swim. And people are like, dude, you're just swimming right here by the dock. I don't care, man. If I'm getting that murky ass water, I'd hate for the Mothman to really be a giant catfish and he comes up, and I'll be the first victim. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Because and you just get brittle. You know what the problem is, as you well know in the male mind anyway. I'm still 19, right? I'm 19 with 30 years of knowledge. Okay. So
that's a
right.
You know what? That's a
So
T-shirt. That's a T-shirt.
yeah.
Right there.
So I'm ready. In theory, I'm ready to do some stuff, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, but in reality, I can't. Right?
Mm-hmm. Amen.
I can't.
Amen.
I'm gonna tell you something. I tore my gluteus maximus a few years ago. And for the listeners that don't know, yeah, that is the largest muscle in the human body. and
some
I
people
was
are
taking,
bigger gluteus maximus
it's
than that.
5, 6, I don't know, it was 5 or 6 years ago, 7, I don't remember, time flies. I think it was 2015 or 16, I don't remember. I was taking my youngest boy, I was living in Minnesota, I was going to take him to Missouri for spring turkey hunting at my uncle's during the special youth season. I just fill that all in for my turkey hunting fans out there.
And you
And
got them. You got them.
and I had my Tahoe. I had at that time I drove a Chevy Tahoe. I wish I still had it. And I had my son in the truck. I had all this gear in the truck. And he said, "Daddy, something about the decoys." And the decoys were up in this. I had some cabinets in my garage. They were on the top of the cabinet. Anyway, I have one of those, not the little giant, because the predecessor to the little giant, one of them ladders that folds up and it can be a big step ladder or fold it straight and make, you know what I'm talking about?
Got one
I
in
had
the
that thing.
garage. I
folded that thing up to make a tall step ladder. I was at the top of this, not very far. I was getting something. I was reaching up maybe 10 foot or whatever, and it folded flat on me.
Oh, okay.
And you know what's weird? You hear about slow motion or whatever, and I grabbed the top of this thing like to slow myself down, and I don't think it helped. Okay. And what I think happened now, thinking about it a long time, I think my gluteus maximus was actually severed by the stair on the ladder, not tore like an athlete would tear. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I got you.
You know what I mean? I think my body weight coming down on that ladder is what tore the thing. So
not an athletic move.
well, because I'm going to tell you, that's athletes are the only people they tell you up there. The athletes are the only people, um, you know what I mean? That's just a rare injury, right?
Yeah.
So I laid there, and I see stuff, and you go, well, so and so got, you see in the movie somebody gets knocked stunned or whatever, and they drown, and you go, well, I could get up or I'd get up. That was the first time in my life that I couldn't move for whatever reason. My mind was going, but I couldn't move, right? And I've got basically a 3-car garage, and I'm on the third stall of it. You know what I mean? The far stall from the house. The first stall has a double door. So I hollered my wife's name, and she came out there. And how she heard me, I don't know. And she said, "What's wrong?" And I said, "You need to call 911." And she said, "For what?" Now I'm laying flat on my back on this ladder in the garage. And she said, "You just fall." I said, "Yeah, this ladder collapsed on me." Now call me an ambulance. And she looks around, and now the garage doors are down, right? We're closed up, and she looks around and she goes, "Are you sure you need an ambulance?" And I said, "I'm screwed up." I said the F word. So I said, "I need an ambulance."
And she's in the healthcare profession.
She's in the healthcare. I don't want to say RN, BSN, but your listeners know what I'm talking about when I say that. They'll know.
With
Works
no
in orthopedics.
I don't hear any compassion.
Works in orthopedics. And maybe I'm thinking it's not the orthopedic circulator I'm talking to. It's the former uh, uh, Air Force medical officer who really knows what screwed up people looks like. And she's going, "You're really not screwed up." Yeah, you know what I mean? You
don't
may
got a
think you're
bone
screwed
sticking. There's
up.
no bone sticking out.
Right. You may think you're screwed up, but you're not screwed up. Right. And she's got a Chevy Impala sitting in the first bay, and that's why I told you about 3 bays. And she goes, "Can't you just crawl over here and get in the car?" And I said, "Seriously?" She said, "Yeah, I don't want all the neighbors knowing what's going on." So she come over there, and I kind of rolled over, and I go to crawling, and I crawl over to the front seat of this Impala, and I realize I can't even straighten my leg. I think I broke my hip is what happened. I told her I think I broke my hip or something, So
So the
she's like,
crawl across
I
the
crawl
garage
across this
door.
garage. I belly crawl. I look like a crawler. Your zombie players. I look like a crawler. I'm pulling myself with my hands and arms, elbows over to this Impala. I hope she opens the door, and I go to try to climb in, and I can't get in there because I can't bend my body around enough to fit in the front seat.
Oh my
So she
God.
says, "Well, just get in the back seat." So now I got to back up, crawl to the back seat, and I just lay across the back seat. Right. But the problem is when I go to bend my legs for her to close the door. So, of course, my little boy's sitting out there going, "Are we going or not?" And she said, "Well, your daddy just fell off the ladder and hurt himself." And he says, "So we're going, aren't we?" Because he's in the truck. I'm supposed to be getting the decoys. So she takes me over to the ER. I don't want to say the hospital, but she takes me over to the ER. Very upscale. I hate to say I live in an upscale neighborhood at that time, but I lived in an upscale neighborhood, and the hospital is empty, unlike most hospitals.
Mm-hmm.
Pulls right up to the ER doors. She goes, "I'm gonna run and get you a wheelchair, get help." So she goes in there, and they jack around, and nobody helps her. You pull up to the ER in the ghetto, and they first make sure there's no gunfire, and then they run out there to see who's dumping out the body or something. If you're in the southwest suburbs of Minneapolis where everybody's nice and you pull up to the ER, they don't care. They just figure you're too lazy to walk or something. So she gets me a wheelchair. She comes out there. "Can you get in a wheelchair?" "Yeah, I think I can." So I got to get myself in the wheelchair, and pain is because it didn't hurt before, but now it's starting to hurt. Wheels me in, and of course then they want to triage. They don't even really want to triage me. They want me set at this little check-in desk where they ask you all these questions, right? And I'm like, first of all, I don't know if I'm gonna throw up or shit my pants, but something's gonna happen here, lady, and you need to get me somewhere besides in this deal.
Yeah. Yeah. I got
And I can't sit in this chair. And then she says, "Well, you're gonna have to wait until your turn or something like that." And this is no kidding. I answered her questions. I gave them my insurance card. I got out of that wheelchair and laid in the freaking on the floor because my leg being bent was where it was the source of my pain. You know what I mean? If I was laid out flat, it didn't hurt near as bad.
I gotcha.
So after a brief period of time, they said it's your turn to come in the back. So I gotta crawl myself back in. Nobody's helping me. Ain't nobody helping me. I gotta crawl back in this freaking chair that wants to roll because I ain't smart enough to run the locks on it. I get in it. I get in the back, and they ended up fixing me. I mean, not fixing me. They ended up jacking around for about 3 hours, telling me, "Well, there ain't nothing we can do about it because it's a torn gluteus maximus and it's a precision." They only do surgery in the worst cases, and it's an athletic injury. Like if you were a world champion running back or something, they would probably come in and do something. So they make me buy these freaking crutches that I used one time to get out of the ER to the car. And I got in the car, and then I just decided there's nothing you do. I had to walk around with a broken ass for 6, 8, 10 weeks. I had a specialty appointment on Monday. My wife called her office, and they got me in to see a specialist. And they're telling me, "Were you playing soccer? Were you playing?" I'm like, "Dude, look at me. I weigh 275 pounds. You think I'm out there playing soccer or gymnastics?" Because that was one of the other things people that break their tear their gluteus maximus do, like uneven bars and stuff. And I'm like, "Dude." Uneven bar. I have been in uneven bars since I left Amsterdam. One of them's downhill from the other. You know, I mean, tripped on a red light bulb or something getting there, but uneven bar. Look at me. Maybe uneven bar. You going look at, a tranny bar or something. But gee, many Christmas. No, I wasn't in an uneven bar. So,
Oh,
yeah. So that starting from then, I had to start. I started to see the twilight, the curtains closing on my physical ability. And my son's upstairs. He's telling me he's gonna meet with a special forces recruit next week because he don't want to join the normal military. He wants to go special forces commitment. And I said, you're gonna get tore up. Those guys get tore up. And he's 18 and he's invincible. Just ask him.
he says, "Look, man, at least I've never fell off a ladder and tore my rear end."
I said, well, it can happen. I'm telling you, it can happen quick. You can. I mean, yeah.
Now,
That's right.
now, do you have any lasting effects from that injury?
Yeah, I've got a permanent crease in my ass. I've got an absolute permanent crease in my butt. I got a dimple that goes all the way across a butt cheek of mine, and that's no kidding. I mean, a no kidding dimple, about 4.5, 5 inches long, and it's permanently. I mean, it's permanently scarred.
Hey, listen, no streaking for you. It's a dead giveaway.
They could identify me. That's right. They could identify me. I'm glad you said that. I heard you told me we were getting popular in Bulgaria, and I thought if there's any place to relocate, it'd be Bulgaria. But I got too many identifiers now. They'll know it's me running naked through the cemeteries looking for the Mothman.
Oh man. Okay. I don't even know how we can talk. I don't even know how we can
stop. Hey, we can't even go anymore. We got to stop right there and change subjects because I don't know. I got off on it. We'll talk about some more medical issues next week, but right now that's it. Just badass broke. When I say I'm a badass, I got a badass. It's broke.
Oh, amen, man. Amen.
Permanently broke.
Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of the From the Shadows podcast. Until next time, never shy away from the darkness or what may be lurking in the shadows. We are out.